So hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And yeah, I wanted to drive this MG ZST again because there's actually a hilarious story with this branch of MG Quezon Avenue. So when my car broke down out of nowhere here in Quezon Ave, I got so bored waiting for the rescue, so I went to this dealership. And as well, shout out to Miss May, my first ever contact there in MG Quezon Ave. I literally had this car the whole day, that day, for 3 hours. So I literally had more seat time with this MG ZST. So there's a lot more to talk about than usual compared with my part 1 review. Full review of that, link of that will be in the description down below. So this is like a long-term-ish update, but this is not the same car, the one in MG Green Hills. So, first thing I noticed immediately with the driving, let's start with the good stuff first. I hear rumble strip. The comfort of this is actually very good, probably very close to the T-Cross, I must say. And the power of it, okay, that's just in drive mode. It's also the second most powerful in its class, if not mistaken, because I've driven a lot of crossovers already that have more than 160 horsepower already. The performance is decent, but the biggest thing that I don't like with this ZST is the throttle response. I have no issues with the 6-speed automatic transmission of this. It shifts up and down pretty well, and of course sport mode, the response time improves compared to the normal mode. And then here, like there, if you noticed earlier, there was a delay in the D mode. Now I'm in sport mode, so just put it back to D since it's traffic. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about now, like what I said earlier, because when I had this for almost the whole day that day, I tend to notice more things now driving this compared to one in MG Green Hills for some reason. Continuing with the bad stuff, I don't like the steering feel. If you set it to eco and comfort, because it tends to be too light for me. This is one of the few cars, I will be very honest, that this has a numb steering feel. You know me, I tend to be more on the sportier side of things, so I just literally leave the steering in dynamic, aka sport mode. So with correction, the steering modes, urban, normal, those are pretty too light for me. Of course, for first time drivers, you won't have an issue driving this around in the city, so I just tend to leave it in dynamic. It's still light, but it's much more improved compared to the urban and the normal settings. Okay, it's just a little bit hot, so hopefully you can still hear me. Right, the leather of this, if you can see, it's more on the durable side of things, but gotta say it's pretty comfortable. And surprisingly for this ZST, look how much bolstering there is. It's a little bit of a mixed bag for me because yeah, it tends to be more of the sportier side of things, but yeah, I'm really being honest, really sorry, it's that total delay that's bugging me so much. However, if you're not very nitpicky like me, this is still a good shout. Of course, in sport mode and then highway driving, the total response and the pickup of the engine is actually alright too. And then the steering wheel, this one's really hard leather, but actually there's nice good grips on them, so I didn't mind this driving it around here in the city too. And then more stuff here, like from before, leather here on the for your elbows, on the door cards. And yeah, again, my full review of this, if you wanna check out the interior, the engine, so on and so forth, check out that part 1 review. So this MG ZST is still powered by 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that produces 163 horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque. So yet again, it's right smack in the middle of the crossovers. But I gotta say, compared to T-Cross, I gotta say this is the most balanced of the subcompact crossovers, because you have the right amount of power and the right amount of comfort. This one is right set in the middle of the competition. Here's sport mode now. Still a delay, but you get going immediately. Oh, right. So yeah, in the gear lever tends to be a little bit more tame than in sport mode. Okay, here, same speed. I put the gear lever back to D. There, little bit of a day. Oh, there's a little bit tire skid there. Yeah, to be honest, I'll leave it in sport if you plan to overtake most of the time. But around in the city, here around in Quezon Avenue, the D is actually pretty tame too. I don't mind it. So I get a little bit of a technique, just leave your foot on the throttle most of the time if you plan to make the throttle response a little bit better. So miss pala, if you plan to ECU tune for the throttle delay, ma-avoid yung warranty for that part or the whole car na?
The whole car, sir.
Okay, so heard it here first, exclusive the whole car. So that's a problem for me if I was gonna buy this thing. Just being honest. I mean, here, look, stoplight and then to a go. It's not too bad. It's just holds it like almost a second before you actually move forward. Doesn't creep for, oh, sorry. Let's try that. I put the auto hold off and check how this, if this will creep forward. Alright, stop here first. Also wondering why it wasn't moving forward, because my silly me, because the auto hold was on. Right. Wait for everyone to go. Ah, there you go. Creeps forward ever so slightly. So that's where you actually just mash the throttle and improve the throttle response. Excuse my nitpicks, but if you're after comfort but with enough power, this ZST actually takes the cake for me. Over rumble strips, if you heard earlier, over humps, over rough patches of road, this soaks them up pretty well, and the NVH of it is excellent too. So you have to try to find a bump. Actually, most of the roads here are kind of smooth. Ah, here, perfect. So test out the NVH. There's not much tire noise. This is what I like to with the MG ZST. Okay, here. Ah, okay, very good. So there are actually some crossovers there. There's few crossovers that I tried out. If you go over bumps, you can hear a suspension thud, aka kalampag. This one does not do that. I mean, you can hear it like a normal car, but it's not noticeable. And as well, being a 3-cylinder, this sounds actually pretty good too. Better than, being honest, the normal ZS, which is only a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. I also have a review of that. And what else to talk about? Yeah, this cabin is actually pretty good. There's not much noise coming into the cabin. This has excellent NVH too. Better than a Stonic. Not as good as a T-Cross, but very close enough. And against the competition, like for example, a Chang'an CS35 Plus, a Geely Coolray. Okay, this MG ZST trumps them in terms of tire noise, because usually tire noise creeps in the Coolray and the Chang'an around 30 kph. This one does not do that. And going back to the transmission, the 6-speed automatic, it is very smooth. Not the fastest thing in the world, but if you do go in manual mode, it shifts up and down pretty good as well. And another nitpick of mine, there is no telescopic steering. It's only a tilt. Bummer. But I don't mind the driving position of this. It's actually perfect for me. And like my previous review, this still has the 10-inch infotainment system that supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The reverse camera quality, like in my first review, not the best out there, but you have a 360-degree camera, so it makes up for it. Slow overtaking, like 10 to 30 kph, it does the job. Just yet again, watch out for that throttle delay. And here, just driving around in the city. Okay, the fuel consumption isn't too bad. It's actually on par with its competition. So I've been doing 15 liters per 100 kilometers. So I know it's not a fair comparison with the fuel consumption against the others, since I'm just driving it here around in the city. But of course, in some of the reviews, you can get better numbers compared to what I'm doing now. And another thing I found out, this does not have engine start-stop, which I don't mind at all. Pretty underrated for MG2 is the air conditioning. This has been sitting outside almost the whole day under the sun. The air conditioning got cold really, really fast. And I like there's ventilated functions for the seats. So yeah, I love this feature. My ass is so cold now. And a little bit update with ventilated seats that's been removed too from the Ford territory. I know that's a compact crossover, but it's been compared to a lot with this MG ZST. So this Coolray and the Chang'an CS35 Plus are the only remaining crossovers that have ventilated seats. Same case like what I did in MG Green Hills. It's really good. So fast-paced driving, this 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine is really, really peppy. And of course, the best driving mode for the, or steering mode, is dynamic, because there's excellent weight on it. I mean, it's still too light for my liking, but better than what I said earlier, than urban and normal steering mode. So yeah, that's the updated part 2 review of this MG ZST. So I'd like to thank Miss May, MG Quezon Avenue, and Miss Jonna over here for making this test drive review possible. And there will be a special walk around review coming up soon at MG Quezon Avenue that I cannot wait to show you guys unless I post that first against this. Anyway, that link will be somewhere in the description down below. So hope you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you with more future car reviews and more MG reviews. Bye bye.